Hi, today we are in Mountain View with Peel. Thiru, hi.
Nice to see you.
What do you do?
Well, I'm one of the co-founders of Peel, and we'll talk about Peel itself in a second. But what do I do? Wake up and live my dream every single day. This is my dream, and I say that to every employee who comes in and say, "Hey, how's you doing? How's your day doing?" And I'll be like, "I'm living my dream."
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about how you started this company.
Yeah, I think there's a commonality in a lot of people who start companies. End of the day, while that specific idea that they work on eventually, catches on and takes the, gets traction and scales. But more importantly, this is a much more human drive that you're trying to do something different. You're trying to prove something either to yourself or to someone else because nobody else cares about what you're trying to prove. But I think there's a completely different internal drive that forces you. And it was the same drive. I used to work at Apple for 10 years. And I remember going to the cafeteria at 12:20 and seeing Steve Jobs come in almost every day, and it was so inspiring to see it. But then I asked, like, why not me? Why not I go out and do something? And I got together with my co-founder Bala, and we tried various different ideas, to be honest. And this is what finally we both loved entertainment, and we both went to film school. And
After your time at Apple.
After my time at Apple, so Bala and I both went to film school, and we loved media and entertainment and being, making people happy, and TV and living room was that space, and mobile phones were just about to take off at that time. So we said, well, why don't we try to do something and build something for ourselves? And I'm fortunate to see that 128 million people now continue to use that product. So
Awesome.
that was sort of the initial part of the journey.
How many failed ideas did it take to come up
Oh
with
my
to Peel?
God. Oh my God. Yeah, like we did crazy stuff. Like we were going to source an MP3 alarm clock from Alibaba, and actually Alibaba is an investor right now, and sell it in the US. Or we were going to, and I remember Bala having an idea of electric cars are going to become a huge hit. So every parking lot, how do we make the electric car just go and automatically park and charge itself? Or how do you make the soap? Why do I have to get the soap separately and then wash it? Like, is there
Okay.
a way to simplify? Maybe 10 ideas, maybe 10 different ideas but truly, the time spent is probably 3 ideas. We try to do something in the product placement, advertisement space, but finally we found out that it is very hard to build a consumer business, but once you build it, the high you get is unbelievable. Being able to touch 128 million people, there's nothing compared to that.
And when you started, did you raise funding immediately, or did you just first try to bootstrap and show some traction?
Fortunately, we had a friend at that time who's now on the board of the company, and he was about to become a venture capitalist. So fortunately, very early on, we were able to raise very little money, maybe $5,000 or $10,000. So fortunately, we always focus, because I'm a firm believer that if you're going to build high growth business, you have to raise capital. You can bootstrap and get to a certain point, but unless you get that kind of a hockey stick growth, you're not going to be able to build a really high growth startup. So fortunately, we've been able to raise money from day one, actually.
Great. Let's talk about the business model of
Sure.
Peel. Can you please elaborate a little bit on your customer segments?
Yeah. When we talk about customer, the first set of folks that are super crucial to the ecosystem is our community of users. They use our app day in, day out to control everything in their living room, and they find the TV shows and tune into the TV show. For example, there is a very famous TV show called Conan O'Brien, who gets about 800,000 viewers every night, and we can increase his rating by 15% with the scale that we have. So we go to the TV studios and we tell them, why do you put an ad on a billboard or on a freeway saying a new show is premiering this fall or this summer? Who cares? Because it's not targeted, it's not measurable, it's not accountable. So we tell them you advertise on the remote control platform on the smartphone, we will actually be able to report back how many people tuned into the show and stayed for 5 minutes. In fact, recently, Forbes magazine published an article where we actually predicted how many of the how many of the new fall TV shows that just recently premiered will stay on air or not, depending on the pilot. Like 5 minutes into 15 minutes into the show, how many people are continuing to stay with the show or switching the channel. That is a huge indication of whether that show is going to be successful or not. So the community of users are an important part, and we distribute our application through OEM such as Samsung and HTC and LG and some of these folks. But ultimately, our customers, the folks that we actually we're an advertisement-based business model, and it's the agencies and the studios that promote their TV shows. They are our customers, and that's our primary business model at this point in time.
Because the interesting thing is, currently, if you say the community, which
Yeah.
is basically the mobile phone user
Yes.
mainly, and then you have the advertisers, okay,
Yeah.
totally understood.
Right.
And then you have maybe the content producers.
Correct, correct.
Because I've heard from another startup
Yeah.
that they are that able to also predict whether a movie is going to become a hit or not.
Right.
And thereby, because movie production is super expensive.
Exactly, yeah.
And maybe the same is then true for like recommending TV shows.
Absolutely. We actually waited for an entire year because we predicted last year. We did not actually make it public. And we looked at how many of those TV shows actually stayed on air or not and how accurate we were. And this year, our models are so well developed and our data science behind it has gotten so high fidelity that we went out and actually said that certain shows will actually stay on air or not. Absolutely. I think a lot of focus is going to start becoming on the pilot, and Madison Square Garden runs this big process called the upfront, where a lot of dollars get committed, and I think they're going to start demanding to look at pilot and how hooked do people get into the pilot into the first 15 minutes or so. And I understand what you're talking about the movie as well.
Are you currently only targeting the normal TV set, or also other devices where a user can consume content?
So, great question. So, when we talk about normal TV set, it's the traditional TV system that you see, the TV and the set-top box and the broadcast. So we actually don't care whether people end up watching TV using their live TV or broadcast, or they end up watching Netflix or on streaming.
Oh, cool.
We are actually all about pointing you to your right TV show, regardless of what kind of TV you have. You might have a Chromecast, in which case we'll switch and get you the TV show. Our focus is enabling you to discover the TV show and get to it. And so discovery and control. So a lot of our current success have been how we actually enable the broken broadcast TV system into and enabling a really awesome experience to be able to get to that TV show. We're going to take that same experience and provide a streaming experience as well. And when you talk about TV, we're also thinking about not just, what if we actually expanded beyond controlling these devices? What if we control these lights and thermostats and locks? So we think we have a natural advantage of being in the couch and having access to these many users, and can we actually now take advantage of that and control the whole home, all the appliances and devices in the home.
Because from my perspective, you could either go two basic ways. Either you go and stay in the home and extend to further applications, or second option is, I will focus on the content stuff and then I go to every channel.
Correct, on the train and on the bus. So I think we are a more home driven company, I would say.
Okay. I think one of the core things from my perception is the recommendation engine. Can you a little bit elaborate on that? What type of data are you using?
Yeah. One thing that we have found out, and then I've clarified this with a lot of other thought leaders in the space, whether it is folks from Amazon or folks from Netflix. Even though search is now possible in the TV space, when you come home, if you thought of an use case where, wouldn't it be cool if you just search for a 49ers game or a Manchester United game, people are not searching. People do not like to use search when it comes to the living room. And there's some sort of a psychological reason behind it, because TV is such a laid back experience, and for some reason consumers tend to lower their IQ to such a low level because they're unwinding and they're relaxing. So they're not searching it. Essentially, then the only other option available to actually let them discover is some sort of a personalization or recommendation or artificial intelligence. And that is a hard nut to crack in the media space, because it's very hard to predict. On a Saturday you'll be in a certain mood, you're ready to engage on a long commitment of a movie, or on a Monday night you'll be probably looking for that football game, or on the normal weekday you're catching up on your shows that you want to catch up, and it is quite hard. So we use your past viewing history, social graph, but also some element of human curation. Human curation is actually quite effective. We use the social sort of Twitter signals and other signals, and create this, and we have a feedback system as to whether people tune into the show that we recommend, but also when we present certain options and they do not tune into, we actually look into that as to, okay, we presented 8 options and the consumer did not choose any of that. Well, then in which case, we need to go back and actually fine tune the algorithm on that.
So let's talk about the advertising.
Sure.
What type of companies are advertising? Because if I would look at only at the mobile device, I would rather assume that the major share really would be TV shows, just promoting, hey, please watch me.
So good question. That is sort of the endemic sort of bread and butter of our business, because it's such a fit between the TV shows wanting to promote, and we have a captive audience of people sitting in front of TV and saying, well, I'm here, I'm ready to be sold on a product, and the product itself is a TV show. It's just perfect. And our consumers actually do not mind it, and they actually don't even feel it like it's advertisement, even though we make it explicit. But brands are also extremely impressed and interested in working with us. The way we actually bring in the brands is we actually say, for example, Coors Light. Coors Light actually worked with us in promoting the Lakers game or the basketball game, because they actually sponsored the actual game. So if we get the viewers to the game, there's more Coors Light obviously on TV, and there's more sponsorship, but they're actually interested in working with both the first screen and the second screen, and driving viewership. So we would say, brought to you by Coors Light. Tonight's basketball game brought to you by Coors Light. Tap here to change channel, go there. So we are trying to really crack the brands, and the first wave of our progress has been around the TV shows and tune in, and there I think we have a really unique offering. Nobody else can offer that. And for brands, we're just starting to scale that business as well.
And are you only focusing on performance advertising, or is it more also on branded advertising?
Great question. In fact, actually, we are the only ones who can actually provide performance right now. But unfortunately, as you may or may not know about the ad industry, they're not completely equipped to do a 100% performance-oriented spend. So these are executed as campaigns. So you might start a week ahead and try to tell the consumer, saying there's a new TV show coming up, and educate about who's acting on it, and then provide them a sneak peek and things like that. But maybe a day before the show you remind and set up a program, the DVR, or set up a reminder, or 5 minutes before the show you tell them, hey, the show's on, you want to tune into that. So it's a combination of that. But I think the world will go more and more towards automatically purchasing these advertisements, but also going more and more towards like data-driven performance in living room, which was never possible before.
Did you build an auction advertising platform like Facebook did?
Great question. So I don't think we are there yet. From the scale of how big the purchase part of it, but I think that'll be the ultimate vision, to have a lot of people compete to get into a certain night. TV has a certain temporal element to it. There's only so many shows in a night, but that's the ultimate goal if we can get there. There's been some work going on, but right now we don't do auction. We are having a direct sales method right now.
Okay, cool. When did you start the advertisement? Because I would assume that it would only started maybe like after 2 years or X million amount of users.
Yeah, no, I think in the US, there's sort of a thumb rule that you want to wait till at least 10 million monthly active users before you start cracking it. The advertisement business has been less than 11, 12 months old right now, but we're crushing it in terms of quarter over quarter. The growth in terms of revenue is phenomenal, and especially the fit is very good, and people sort of coming back and buying more is a phenomenon that we're actually continuing to see.
Yeah, what I really like is that it seems to be very synergistic.
Correct. That's the right word. Yes.
Cool. Let's stay with advertising.
Yeah.
For example, because the user, you can identify them easily based on their device ID or something like this. The second thing is you know exactly when he's switching the channel. If you then, on the other hand, have all the TV shows and advertisement spots, and then you map them over time, and then you can also do some pattern analysis and say, actually, this advertisement at this time with this conditions and so on is not working. And then even you could broaden the advertising marketplace. Are you currently working on something like this?
Yeah. So that is the excitement behind the company. It is I have to approach this from both the sides. Ultimately, it has to produce value for the consumer. It has to use their viewing behavior in the right way. But I think what you just said has never been done before, and there's a lot of excitement around the company around that. I'm sorry, but but it's a great idea.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
You currently have 128 million users.
Right.
Are they only in the US or are they
They're global. We're one of the very few global first company. We don't, like, our website is a bare bones, so our product is not even on the web. Our product is 100% mobile product, but we're 107 countries. We're in Germany, but a third of this user base is in the US, a third is in Asia, dominated by China, and a third is in the rest of the world, Europe and South America and other places.
Cool. Great. Imagine a younger brother of yours who comes to you and says, hey, Thiru, I've got a business idea, but I'm not sure whether I should pursue it. Can you give me any advice about starting a company?
The first thing I tell people is like, can you quit your job? And they're like, wait, I don't know. I don't know if my idea is good enough to quit my job. Well, then your idea is not good enough. You have to be able to tie your hunger or your survival to your success. I always tell this analogy that if you go to Cirque du Soleil or one of those circus type shows, you see those people who are actually coming down on a rope and then jumping out of the next rope, right? And if you notice, they'll always tie the ropes in such a way that you cannot hold both of them together. So you got to let go of one and then jump on the other. So it is really, really important that you actually give 100% of your effort into whatever you're putting in and think that that is the only option out. Because entrepreneurship is so hard that if you have a safety valve, you're going to push that valve like very quickly, like 3 months, 6 months. Because the reason I started this interview by saying I'm living my dream. I say that to my employees every single day is because the process of dreaming is a very positive thing. You sort of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I did that? But the act of living it is extremely painful, extremely excruciating, because to make your dream come true, you have to work your ass off like every single day. So that's why I say people like, I'm living my dream. There's a positive connotation to it, but there's also the fact that you have to work really, really hard to make it happen. So I think my only advice is like, if you're going to do it, give everything, but end of the day, nothing is guaranteed. Success is not guaranteed. Destination is not guaranteed. As much as it's cliched, you got to just wake up and be happy about coming and touching these many people. Whatever drives your passion. And
the number of people is something that's touching you, right?
Yeah. That may be what energizes you, or some people may be energized by the fact that you're making money or building a software. People think it's the technology that they solve. Whatever motivates you, and you have to give 100% of that. I can sort of talk about fundraising and things like that, but the core is that you gotta chase what drives you and chase the dream with everything that you have.
Yeah, Thiru, thank you very much.
No worries. Yeah, it's fun. You kept it casual and it was fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
And maybe next time you are thinking about what should I watch? Yeah. Just download the Peel app and have a look at what it's recommending you. Awesome.
Awesome.
See you.
Thanks so much. Awesome.
Thank you so much.